Good afternoon. This is Voices from World Citizen. I'm Kara Lu, host for today. Today we are here in a park which is located in Jing'an area, Shanghai City. It was recommended by Kevin. Kevin is my friend who is Chinese and spent 2 years in UK for volunteering job. And I totally believe and totally convinced he's a strong believer for World Citizen. And let's hear what's his story. Hey, Kevin.
Hi, my name is Kevin and I'm Chinese. I'm originally from Jiangxi province, which is not far from Shanghai, about 2.5 hours by high-speed train. And I've been living in Shanghai for the past almost 5 years. And I enjoyed a lot because Shanghai is a very international city. You got a chance to meet people from all over the world and learn different cultures, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm. And I get to know the volunteering work you do in UK was quite interesting, and you are also always appreciated for that. Would you like to share about that?
Yeah, so just after 1 year I graduated from my college, I haven't decided what to do, so I was looking for some opportunity to either travel abroad or like work abroad. So I find this online and I applied, and luckily they accepted me. So I went there. It's kind of like in a local care home, and they have their own nurses to look after those people. Majority of the residents there is like over 80 years old. Some people even like 90s, approach to their 100 years old.
Wow.
So they recruit like volunteers every year from other countries to live and work together with those people. So I remember one guy whose name is Jack, and he was a soldier during the World War II, and he met Winston Churchill. And every time when I talked to him, he always mentioned me about like, oh, I met Winston Churchill. I like something like this, really interesting. So yeah, really enjoyed my experience there, and because you got a chance to talk to those old people, they share their life story to you and tell you what they did in their life, and you can learn a lot from them, which I think is really a great resource for you to understand life and what to expect, what to do about your own life. It's a really rewarding experience, and I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's also a Chinese culture, like learn from the senior.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like when I back home, I always love to talk to my grandma, because my grandma, she's almost 100, but
Wow.
she still have a good logic, and she can share a lot of story for what's been happened.
Yeah.
And that is really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but sadly, like for this COVID-19, actually, I think the most risky group was this Asian group. And so I wondered, like, what you've been experienced during this COVID-19?
So because this pandemic started just right before the Chinese New Year, so Chinese New Year is like the largest holiday in China. So people not from local usually go back to their hometown and celebrate with their parents. So me, as usual, went back to my hometown. Was supposed to stay for 7 to 10 days, and because of this pandemic started, you can't travel and everything was locked. Bus chains was cancelled. So I was a bit lucky because I'm from a small town in Jiangxi province. We get a lot of nature, like a lot of mountains around. So I was able to go out for hiking and climb mountains, do a bit of outdoor activities. But not every day, just like maybe once a week or twice a week. And what I learned from this pandemic, because the lockdown, you got more time to spend with your family, your parents, which I haven't got too much chance to do before. Usually I go back for holiday just one or a few days. I always go out to meet friends and like not staying at home with my parents. So this really helped me to talk to more with them, to share your experience with them, which is great. It's so get more strong connection with your parents. And also I wasn't able to go out very often, so I spend time to do some things which I haven't got a chance to do before. I learned Chinese flute during this time.
Like Chinese flute?
Yeah, exactly. Like
wow.
bamboo flute,
Wow.
which I always wanted to learn, but
Yeah.
just never started. So
Uh-huh.
that was a good chance for me to, and I also spend more time to read,
Mm-hmm.
to learn something new,
Mm-hmm.
and it made me think that sometimes enjoy self alone time is really important to individual. You got a chance to really think deep about yourself and meditate and think like what you've been doing this year and what you have achieved, what you plan for the next year, for the future, what your goals, this kind of stuff. Yeah. So you lose something, you gain something. That's what people usually say about it.
So, wow, I think that's a powerful sharing. Like a lot of people was just the lockdown make them
crazy, or like they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You just have to adjust yourself to these changes.
Yeah. So is there any other like a challenge during this period, or you just able to cope with it with the methods you just mentioned?
The first few days you can't go out, it was really difficult because I'm like very active person. I usually like to do outing, go out, like do cycling, hiking, or running. So during this lockdown time, you can't really go out. So it was a big challenge at the first few days. But once you get used to it, you, as I mentioned, you start to learn cope yourself, like a long time with yourself. So you start to think, what else I should do to spend this time, not to waste it. Yeah, so that's a bit of a challenge. You just have to adjust yourself to changes. You can't always like complain, oh, I can't go out, I can't do anything. That makes me crazy. You just have to adjust to changes and try and find new things to do. Just not waste your time. Yeah.
I appreciate your sharing a lot. Yeah. How about, is there any appreciation, any specific person or specific things you appreciate during this?
I really want to appreciate those like workers, nurses, not only in China, like all over the world, who stand in the front line to fight against this pandemic, this virus, to help other people to stay safe. And all those frontline workers, who either delivery guy or like bus drivers who has to transport the stuff to hospital or like whatever. They're really heroes, like standing in the front line to protect us. And I think these people like should consider as like a real heroes.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Like I don't know how to say that in Chinese, in English, but I was reading an article about those one who, did a lot of things behind.
Yeah.
Those are people who take the burden on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And carry on those tasks to protect everyone else. It's really touching, actually. I was crying a lot when I see the documentary about that. Yeah, it's really touching. Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that again. And last, what do you think about World Citizen?
I think World Citizen is a really great word. Like maybe 10 or 15, 20 years ago, when people talk about World Citizen, a lot of people wouldn't understand what that means. But nowadays, since like everything's so convenient, like people were able to travel in a short period of time, and the internet, you can learn anything from online, you can find online. And I think I consider myself as a world citizen because I always wanted to travel abroad to experience different cultures. And I think everyone should be a world citizen. You should go out to see the world, to experience something yourself, not like just listening or like watching from online. And that's a great way to help yourself to get more insights of different cultures and learn the positivities from different cultures. And yeah, I think that's just like step out and go travel to meet more new people, talk to them, share your story to them, and listen to their stories. And after like maybe a year or something, you will see the changes of yourself. Like you see things like in a different perspective, in a more like wide perspective too.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of feel like these days there's a lot of noises about everything, about different opinions, arguments all the time. Somehow I feel like some people, like especially those people who make the noise, it's kind of like they're stuck in a tunnel view.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and they are focused on those problems and just talking about this and this.
Yeah.
And the one thing you also remind me about language learning. Like I kind of like feel for those world citizens, normally they have a common point is they most of them speak another language.
Yeah.
And for speaking another language, it's kind of also the thinking way of the target language, like a non-target language. It's more like if you speak English, you kind of like understand, oh, those people whose mother tongue are English was thinking this way or that way. It's different, and we also kind of like sort of like adjusted a little bit. And do you feel this way, like for the language part?
Yeah, definitely. That reminds me of a word was from Nelson Mandela. He said like, if you speak a language people understand, it goes to their head. If you speak their language, it goes to their heart. So that means if you want to understand a culture, language is like the first step you have to learn to really understand this culture. And by learning different languages, it helps you a lot to like open to different perspective. So you think things not like only in one way. You probably will see like in different ways to see one thing. And I think this is really a good way to see this world. Yeah.